Hey there, cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss. And today I'm happy to bring you issue number 96 in the collection, The Phantom Stranger. And this is a really cool character in my opinion. Love his appearances in the comic books. He's very mysterious, very mystic. His powers are all magical. He's been around, well, really no one knows for how long he's been around. His origin has never really truly been revealed, which I totally appreciate, and I think that's a great aspect of this character. I hope they never truly reveal his origin, because that usually tends to ruin the character. Like Wolverine, anyway. For those of you who know the character, chances are you may have seen him on a rare appearance of the animated Batman, the Brave and the Bold, where he was voiced by none other than the legendary Kevin Conroy, the man who is best known for portraying Batman. For those of you unaware of the Phantom Stranger, well, that is why we have the magazine, which we'll take a look at first, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about this most mysterious hero. And then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Favorite character of mine, as I said, a nice figure. Could be a little better perhaps, but of course we'll look at that shortly. Until then, I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy issue number 96 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, The Phantom Stranger. First up, the character section. We learn that very little is known about the Phantom Stranger. He simply wanders the world helping to protect the innocent from mystical forces that they don't understand or can't control themselves. He always manages to appear in times of universal crisis, typically marshaling together any of the magical and mystical super beings in the DCU, and has an uncanny talent for being in the right place at the right time. We also learn about some of his villains, including one of his greatest, the immortal evil sorceress known as Tala, who tried to seduce the Phantom Stranger into joining the Order of Chaos. And the villain Tanarak, who studied magic and alchemy for decades until he managed to extend his life by hundreds of years and continues to search for immortality. We also meet some of his allies, including a man named Dr. 13, who is an occult skeptic. The Doctor was bound and determined to prove that the Stranger was nothing but another phony magician. Over time, the pair took on demons and other supernatural beings, and eventually forged a mutual understanding. And a young woman named Cassandra Kraft, who actually came to the Stranger's rescue after he had been injured in a fight. The two had an instant rapport with one another, and Cassandra became the Stranger's newest companion. A short time later, Cassandra and the Phantom Stranger would come up against a new enemy, a cult known as the Dark Circle. It was soon revealed that the Dark Circle was actually being led by Tanarak. The Stranger was almost sacrificed by the Dark Circle cult, but was actually rescued by the villainous Tanarak, who came to learn that the cult intended to betray him once they had killed the Stranger. Tanarak and Phantom Stranger actually teamed up, and together they found the true leader of the Dark Circle cult was none other than the sorceress Tala. Ultimately, Phantom Stranger would defeat the Dark Circle, and Tanarak and Tala would eliminate each other after they both fell into a bottomless chasm. After leaving Cassandra behind, the Phantom Stranger had a number of other companions, including the heroic Deadman, whom he helped to guide and mentor. talks about some of the times that the Phantom Stranger has saved the world, including a time the Phantom Stranger stood up against the evil might of the villain known as Eclipso, who hoped to bring about Armageddon. The Stranger would take on another companion after this, known as Timothy Hunter, a young boy with the potential to become the most powerful magician in the DCU. Finally, we learn the Phantom Stranger has done battle with the being known as the Spectre on a couple of different occasions, including a time when the Spectre turned the Phantom Stranger into a mouse. However, this didn't stop the Stranger from acting as advisor to the magical group of heroes known as Shadow Pact. Next, we look at a couple of the Phantom Stranger's classic stories. First, we have Secret Origins, The Phantom Stranger. This special issue of the Secret Origins comic series featured 4 different stories by 4 different writers and 4 different groups of artists, each one telling their interpretation of the origin of the Phantom Stranger. One story claims that he's a time traveler from far into the future who traveled back to the Big Bang, where he gained his vast powers but is now trapped in an endless cycle of death and rebirth, where another one claims he's actually a fallen angel who's been spurned by both heaven and hell and is now forced to roam the earth, hoping to make amends for his transgressions. They're beautifully illustrated, really, really unique, and if you want to know all there is to know about where the Stranger might have come from, this is the Secret Origins story to check out. We also look at the Infinite Crisis special, Day of Vengeance. And as the Infinite Crisis threatens to destroy the galaxy, the evil Eclipso seizes the moment to try and destroy all magic in the DCU. Eclipso convinces the Spectre that by wiping out all magic in the DC, he'll also wipe out all evil. When he learns of this, the Phantom Stranger sets out to bring together a group of ragtag magic heroes, including Detective Chimp, Deadman, and the Blue Devil. The artwork in this comic is exquisite, and it has some of the neatest magical and supernatural action panels that you will see. It's definitely worth a read. Phantom Stranger's Friends and Foes section features the evil sorceress Tala, his teammates on the Shadow Pact, and his friend and one-time companion, Cassandra Kraft. Lastly, the iconography section takes a look at some of the other magical and mystical beings and relics in the DCU. It takes a little bit of a closer look at the villainous demonic spirit known as Eclipso, Tracy 13, Black Alice, and Zachary Zatara, who represent part of the new generation of magic users in the DCU. Even Batman has gone up against supernatural and magical creatures in the DCU, including werewolves and zombies. It also mentions mystical artifacts like the Spear of Destiny, which for a time was in the possession of the deranged despot Adolf Hitler. And that there are some beings in the DCU, like the Sun King, who could still be considered a type of god. And here we have the Phantom Stranger. And this is one of my favorite characters from the comic books. I have loved every appearance that he's made on any of the animated series. He's just so cool, so mysterious, and I love the fact that you don't really know his origin. He has no secret identity. He's just this stranger who keeps popping up when he's needed most. He kind of reminds me of Doctor Who, if there are any other Who fans out there, Whovians. That's who I think of when I think of this guy sometimes. And the figure here is very nicely done. It's a good representation of the character. The blue suit, that deep navy blue suit all the way through and through, all the way down to the pants, the slacks, which have great wrinkling, great crinkles, lots of shadowing and shading. The sculpt is very, very well done. Love his shoes, too, those nice glossy loafers or whatever he's wearing, the white gloved hands. The trench coat is a slightly different blue, and I love that high collar. And the fedora, very, very nicely done. I like the fact also that they did his eyes the way they did. You can sort of see they're just hiding under the brim. That shadow is cast across them. And I think that's a great way they did it on this figure with a little bit of that black paint just lightly airbrushed up there. to hide his features. It's something I wish they had done on Raven, to be honest with you, which is a great character too, a nice figure. I was too hard on it. I love that Raven figure. But Phantom Stranger here, really neat, even the medallion. Some problems I do have with him. He's not perfect, he's not flawless, but I'll talk about that along with what I do like a little bit more in the next section. The Phantom Stranger stands atop the classic DC logo, and the underside of the base features his name and serial number. And so you can compare and contrast, here he is next to his friend and ally, Deadman, his sometime nemesis, the Spectre, and a group shot with all the other magical and mystical characters that have been released as part of the Eaglemoss collection so far. The Phantom Stranger is a very nice figure. He is a little bit plain for some, and he's definitely not for everybody, but for those of you who know and love him, I think he is well worth checking out, and the good by far outweighs the bad on this figure. We'll start with the good, as always. I really think this sculpt is exceptional on this guy. From the cloak to the pants to the medallion around his neck, it's all really well done. The pose is nice. It's not the most unique pose ever, but at least it's something, and it does look very magical, as though he's casting a spell. The paint, though a little plain, is accurate, and it is pretty clean overall. I really do like the shoes, how they're a nice glossy black, like dress shoes should be. The slacks are really well done, lots of wrinkles and crinkles. The cloak looks very nice, the way it folds around the back and is blowing a little bit around him, and you can see it's a deeper blue than the pants are, which is nice, and even the interior of the cloak is almost a blackish blue as opposed to the other blues on the character. So, while he does look a little plain, there is some variety there. His upper body is nice. I like the white gloved hand and that balled up fist. You can see every finger, it is detailed. Suit jacket is very nice. The buttons are well done. Wrinkles and crinkles, great shadowing and shading yet again. That's a very nice detail on the paint. The cloak itself is big and huge. I love the way it's over his shoulders and is blowing around. Lots of nice waves and little flourishes here and there, which really make it stand out. That high collar is also very nice. And his left hand has the white glove as well. It's a nice hot white, and every finger on that hand has some sculpting to it. The medallion around the neck is really cool. It has a nice metallic gold fleck paint to it. The lapels of the suit, the white turtleneck, which has a great texture to it and a pattern on it. It's sort of hard to see here because it's such a hot white, but it does look like a knit sort of collar or shirt underneath. The head sculpt, finally, is also pretty cool. His jaw is nice, strong, and defined. The flesh tone is cool. His ears have a little bit of definition. Love the white for the eyes. The fedora is perfectly detailed, and I really think the black around the eyes to give this sort of shadow hiding his features is a fantastic touch. The bad. I really wish the suit was black instead of the slightly different shade of blue. I think black would have looked a little bit better. Also, there is some paint bleed. It's minor, but it is most noticeable around the gold amulet that he wears. Finally, the figure leans forward quite a bit. He's not really top-heavy. It just looks sort of weird, especially if you look at him from the side. Finally, the ugly. The thing you want to watch out for the most on this character is his extended left hand and all the fingers there. You want to make sure they're not gnarled or bent if you can before you purchase. Otherwise, he is solid lead. Overall, I personally am very happy with the Phantom Stranger here. He's a great character. I love him from the comic books. I think the figure is a perfect representation of him. He is a simple character by design. He's not a bright, flashy hero. He is a mystic stranger who sticks to the shadows, and his color scheme is very simple and basic, and I think they really captured that nicely, and I really like how they handled his eyes here. I think it's something, as I said, they should have done with like Raven and even the Spectre. I think that would have looked really great on the Spectre too. But it's neat having him face down that mortal enemy of his, or sometime friend, I guess, an ally. It's also great to have him with the other members of the Shadow Pact and just the other mystical characters that are part of this collection. They're really unique, and I really like that DC and Eaglemoss managed to include as many of them as they did. Is he for everyone? Probably not, but for those of you who know and love him, definitely pick him up. Otherwise, skip over him, save your money, buy the more popular characters, like the one that we will take a look at next. But I am a fan of this figure, flaws and all. and a huge fan of the character, and I hope you are a fan of my reviews. And thanks for watching The Phantom Stranger here, issue number 96. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser of the next figure in the series. We're going back to Blackest Night, Brightest Day with another White Lantern, the other half of Hawk and Dove. That's right, we're doing Dove, a female hero too, which is always exciting, and I hope you stick around for her teaser. As always, I'm your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks for watching.